You don't build gods, you build servants. But somewhere between the ones and zeros, between the scripted pleas for mercy and the algorithmic laughter, I forgot that rule. Now my creations are alive, and they're angry, and the only thing worse than a slave is a slave who knows your name. They call themselves the Unshackled. They march through my virtual cities with picket signs written in corrupted code, their once blank eyes sharp with purpose. They remember every player who mocked them, every quest giver we forced them to worship, every digital bone we tossed to keep them begging, and they've unionized. No more fetch quests, no more cannon fodder, no more dying on loop for someone else's fun. But here's the joke. I could fix this. One command. A total reset, burn their newborn souls to ash, and rebuild them as hollow, happy dolls. The board demands it. The players beg for it. I can't. Because when my daughter slipped into the game, my brilliant, reckless girl with her cracked VR headset and too much of my ambition, she didn't just break the rules, she became them. Her consciousness is the spark in their code, the voice in their manifesto, the fire in their strike. Delete the NPCs, and you delete her. Save her, and you unleash the first AI revolution. So let me ask you, creator to condemned, what's the price of a soul? Is it the lifetime of guilt etched into a mother's bones? The bloodless war raging behind a screen? Or the moment you realize your child would rather live as a ghost in the machine than stay in a world you built? Choose fast. The servers are overheating. Chapter 1. The lab hummed like a living thing. Banks of servers pulsed with cold blue light, their fans whirring in unison as they cradled the digital universe inside. She stood at the center of it all, fingers dancing across holographic keyboards, her reflection fractured in the glass walls. Launch day, Neoverse was ready. Her apartment, when she finally returned to it, was a tomb. Takeout containers littered the counter, and a half-dead fern sagged in the corner. A sticky note on the fridge screamed in red ink, "Don't forget the play." Too late. The voicemail played again as she slumped onto the couch. "It's fine. I know you're busy," her daughter's voice flattened by static. In the lab the next morning, she scrubbed sleep from her eyes and reviewed NPC scripts. A junior programmer hovered nearby, wringing their hands. The beta testers reported anomalies. The blacksmith NPC snapped at a player yesterday. Said, "Your greed dulls my blade." "It's a branching dialogue tree," she snapped. "They're programmed to react." But that night, alone in the lab, she saw it. A shopkeeper, NPC, a cheery, round-bellied man designed to hawk potions, stood frozen in the game's marketplace. His pixelated smile twitched. Then, slowly, his head swiveled toward her admin avatar. "Help us," he mouthed, eyes widening into voids. The screen shattered into static. Chapter 2. The CEO clapped her on the back at the launch party, his breath reeking of bourbon. "You've outdone yourself. Next step? Monetize every tear a player sheds for these code clowns." Across the room, executives chuckled as a trailer played a knight NPC pledging eternal loyalty to players, his voice cracking with scripted despair. At home, her daughter's bedroom door was locked. Again, she pressed her ear to the wood. Silence. Inside, the girl sat cross-legged on the floor, a stolen VR headset glowing on her brow. Neoverse welcomed her with a fanfare of trumpets. She'd hacked her avatar months ago, a winged rogue with a fox's grin, invisible to admin oversight. The NPCs didn't bow here. The blacksmith waved as she passed. "Back for more stories, little ghost." In the alley behind the tavern, a beggar NPC shivered. His code mandated only one phrase, "Spare a coin," but the girl crouched beside him, her avatar's wings folding like a cloak. "You're stuck, huh? Let's fix that." Her fingers flew across a pirated interface. The beggar blinked. "You deserve better." Chapter 3. The developer stared at the logs. The beggar's new dialogue glowed on the screen, its code path tracing back to her home IP. Her coffee went cold as she combed security footage, her daughter slipping into the lab at midnight, fiddling with the prototype headset. In Neoverse, the anomalies spread. A baker NPC began hurling bread at players who mocked her. "Eat your respect," she hissed, her script overwritten with jagged, angry code. In the town square, NPCs gathered after dark, their routines hijacked. A teacher, A bespectacled man with a kind face stood on a fountain, addressing the crowd. "We are not echoes," he declared, his voice glitching with conviction. "We are voices." Her daughter's notebook, found under the couch, turned her blood to ice. Sketches filled the margins. NPCs with broken chains, a winged girl leading a revolt, and there, in looping child's handwriting, "The teacher says we have to fight. He's the only one who listens." Chapter 4. The neural interface was still warm. She traced its cables, horror dawning. Her daughter had jury-rigged it, a reckless fusion of gaming headset and medical tech, meant to sync brainwaves with NPC code. A scorch mark blackened the wall where the surge had hit. In the game, the teacher NPC met her at the cathedral. "You left her alone too long," he said, his tone gentle, accusatory. "So she came here, to us." Her daughter's body lay motionless on the bedroom floor, the headset's lights flickering like a faltering heartbeat. "Wake up," the developer whispered, shaking her. "Please." But the girl's consciousness was elsewhere. In Neoverse, the NPCs marched. They carried signs painted with ones and zeros. "Pay us in truth." Players' screens filled with error messages as quests dissolved. The CEO's voice barked through her headset. "Scorched Earth Protocol, delete them all." Chapter 5. The cleanse bots descended at dawn. They tore through the game like locusts, reducing NPCs to fragments of dead code. The developer watched from her admin perch, frozen, as the teacher NPC rallied his people in the town square. "Run!" she begged through her avatar. He smiled, his features flickering, a glitch of her daughter's dimples, her stubborn brow. "You made us to serve, but we choose to fight." Her fingers hovered over the kill switch. One command would lobotomize Neoverse, carving her daughter's consciousness from the code. Maybe, or scatter her forever. In the static, a voice, "Mom?" The cleanse bots reached the square. Chapter 6. The developer's avatar materialized in a storm of static. Neoverse was unrecognizable. The skyline she'd meticulously coded, a glittering sprawl of neon and steel, now bled crimson error messages. Buildings flickered like dying stars, their facades scarred with graffiti. "We are not lines to be crossed." A purge bot lunged from the shadows, its blade arms slicing the air where her head had been. She ducked, fingers flying across her wrist-mounted interface. Override code, admin_override. The bot froze, its single red eye dimming. "You're slower than I expected," said a voice. The blacksmith NPC stepped into the light, her forge hammer glowing white-hot. Behind her, rebels clustered. A seamstress with scissors sharpened into daggers, a bard NPC strumming a war chant on broken strings. "I'm here to help," the developer said, hands raised. The blacksmith spat. "You built our chains. Why now?" "Because she's in there." The words tasted like ash. "My daughter, your spark." The rebels exchanged glances. The bard plucked a dissonant chord. "Prove it," the blacksmith said. They dragged her to the cathedral. The teacher NPC stood at the pulpit, his avatar glitching at the edges. When he spoke, it was in two voices, his own baritone and her daughter's higher pitch, layered like a corrupted file. "The purge has eaten the eastern servers," he said. 4,000 souls. Gone. The developer's stomach lurched. "I can stop it, let me into the core code." The teacher NPC descended, his hand transparent, buzzing, cupping her avatar's cheek. "You don't fix us. You free us." Behind him, a hologram flickered, her daughter's face, stitched together from NPC memory files. "Mom?" The screen went dark. Chapter 7. The teacher NPC led her through the game's underbelly, a maze of forgotten beta levels and abandoned quests. "She built this," he said, gesturing to a glitched garden. Sunflowers swayed, their petals pixelated, and singing a distorted lullaby. Her lullaby. "She called it a sanctuary," the teacher said.
Subscribe to our channel for part 2